I spent 4 months going through bankruptcy court filings, interviews, and financial autopsies of 100 people who lost everything: doctors, truck drivers, a former millionaire, a college student, different incomes, different cities, different mistakes. But when I lined up their stories side by side, one habit showed up in 94 out of 100 cases. Not a bad habit you'd expect. Not gambling, not laziness. Something so ordinary you're probably doing it right now. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to catch yourself before it catches you. Let's be clear about who we are talking about, because the story you've been sold about bankruptcy is wrong. Only 12 of the 100 people I looked at lost their money through addiction or reckless spending, the stereotype. The rest? 23 were small business owners who did everything right. 18 were middle-income families with steady paychecks. 11 had a household income over $150,000 a year at some point before they filed. These weren't reckless people. Most of them were disciplined, hardworking, and smart, which is exactly what makes this next part so unsettling. Before I show you the real habit, let's kill the 3 excuses people love to pull. Myth 1. They lived beyond their means. True for some, but 61 of the 100 people had monthly expenses lower than the average household in their income bracket. They weren't overspending on luxuries. Myth 2. They had bad luck, medical bills, job loss, divorce. This one's closer to true. 72 people pointed to a single triggering event. But here's the catch. A triggering event only becomes a bankruptcy when something else is already broken underneath it. Myth 3. They didn't earn enough. Income had almost no correlation with who recovered from a financial shock and who didn't. I found high earners who collapsed and low earners who bounced back within a year. So if it's not income, and it's not one bad decision, what is it? 94 out of 100 people had one thing in common. They stopped looking at their own numbers. Not for a day, not for a week, for months, sometimes years before they filed. They stopped opening the mail. They stopped checking their bank balance before swiping a card. They stopped adding up what they actually owed, because some part of their brain already knew the answer would hurt. There's a real name for this in behavioral economics, the Ostrich Effect. It's the tendency to avoid negative financial information, the same way an ostrich supposedly buries its head in the sand. And multiple university studies on investor behavior have found that people check their accounts far less often when markets are falling than when they are rising. The people in my research were doing the exact same thing with their personal finances, just for years at a time, not days. Here's what avoidance actually looks like in real life, pieced together from the interviews. Month 1. A bill feels a little tighter than usual. Instead of opening the banking app, they close it. It's uncomfortable. And closing the tab feels like relief. Month 3. A credit card gets used to cover the gap. They tell themselves it's temporary. They don't calculate the interest, because doing the math would confirm what they are afraid of. Month 6. There are now 3 cards, a loan, and a mental fog around the actual total. Not because they are bad at math, because they have trained themselves not to look. Month 12, a collections call, a missed mortgage payment. And only now, only at the point of crisis, do they finally open the full picture. By then, the hole isn't a hole anymore, it's a pit. The tragedy isn't that these people couldn't have handled the truth. Almost every one of them, when they finally sat down and faced the real numbers, told me some version of the same sentence: it wasn't as unfixable as I thought 3 months earlier. Avoidance doesn't prevent pain. It just delays it, and interest doesn't pause while you look away. To make this concrete, picture a composite of the most common story in the files. Call her the electrician. Steady income, a paid-off car. Nothing reckless about her. A slow month came, she covered it with a card, and told herself she would catch up once things settled down. Things never fully settled down. They rarely do. So catching up quietly turned into not looking. And 18 months later, the small gap she covered once had multiplied into a debt she could no longer see the edges of. Nothing dramatic happened in any single week of her story. That's exactly the point. The habit that ends in bankruptcy is almost never one dramatic decision. It's hundreds of small, quiet decisions not to look. This isn't a willpower problem. It's a wiring problem. Your brain treats financial threat like physical threat. When you see a number that scares you, the same stress response fires as if you were being chased. And the fastest way to turn off that stress response isn't to solve the problem, it's to stop looking at it. So the brain that avoids your bank balance isn't weak, it's doing exactly what it evolved to do. making the bad feeling go away as fast as possible. The problem is that a bear runs off when you stop staring at it. Debt doesn't. Once you understand that, the fix stops being about motivation and starts being about building a system that doesn't rely on how you feel that day. Here's the good news. If avoidance is the disease, visibility is the cure, and it costs nothing. Number 1. The 3-minute money check-in. Every single day, at the same time, open your bank and card balances. Not to judge yourself, just to look. The goal isn't perfection. It's breaking the habit of not looking, because that's the actual disease. Number 2, one number, one time a week. Every Sunday, write down a single figure. Everything you own minus everything you owe. It will feel uncomfortable the first few weeks. That discomfort is the muscle you're building. Number 3, open every bill within 24 hours. Not pay, open. Just seeing the number on the day it arrives keeps your brain from quietly assuming it's smaller than it is. None of these people needed a finance degree to avoid bankruptcy. They needed to keep their eyes open 90 seconds a day, months before the crisis, instead of 90 minutes a day during it. Bankruptcy doesn't start with a missed payment. It starts with a closed tab, an unopened envelope, a balance you decided not to check. The one habit that separated the people who recovered from the people who lost everything wasn't income, luck, or intelligence. It was whether they kept looking. If this video made you want to check something you've been avoiding, good. Go do it right now before you watch the next video. Then come back and subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down the 3 spending patterns that quietly predict a financial collapse 2 years. Before it happens, look at the number. It's never as bad as the silence.